And welcome to the Survival Report podcast. Survival Report podcast available at, you guessed it, SurvivalReportPodcast.com. SurvivalReportPodcast.com, hosted at our forum site, as always, SurvivalAndPreparedness.com. SurvivalAndPreparedness.com. And some of these will be cross-posted as possible on our YouTube channel, which is SurvivalReport.net. SurvivalReport.net. And if you're wondering why there wasn't the normal opening music, that's why, is when we post some of these on YouTube, there might be some conflict of interest in posting one with the opening music. So some of these will be recorded from here on out without the opening music. And of course that is the End of the World as We Know It by REM song that, I started using that back in the 90s when I had my radio show. It's gotten real popular again because of, Doomsday Dunskies or whatever, Doomsday Preppers. As far as I know, I was the first to use it on radio or on a survival type show and that as well too. So kind of interesting history there for you. Anywho, lots coming up. March 2nd, the Southern Readiness Conference in Gastonia, North Carolina. You can find more information on the web at southernreadiness.com, or you can follow the link on the left-hand side of the page off of survivalandpreparedness.com. Many good speakers there. Let's see, we have David Kobler, Southern Prepper 1. I'll be there speaking. Might want to bring some tomatoes to throw at me, something like that. No, I'll be there speaking as well. Let's see, Scott Hunt from Practical Preppers. Who else? Several other good speakers there as well too. It's going to be a Saturday event at a church. A lot of vendors there as well too. We'll be there exhibiting also with JRH Enterprises, and I'll be speaking there on lessons learned from 27 years of preparing. And that speech is different pretty much every time, guys. So if you've seen it at another show, it's quite possible that 90% or more of it will be different than the last time you've seen it. I have several versions of it in PowerPoint already, and I'm constantly tweaking that. And of course, if you've been listening at all or you've been watching me on the videos, you know we get off on rabbit trails really easy. And the question and answer session, a lot of folks have come up and said that alone was worth the price of admission to the show or whatnot, just because we get off on some various other subjects, and that we've diverged onto many good subjects during the question and answer session. Usually I will run an hour or more over time. You don't have to stay the whole time, but usually if I'm the last one up, they're usually pushing us out the door at the end. So the Southern Readiness Conference at southernreadiness.com, or again, follow the links off the survivalandpreparedness.com page. And we look forward to meeting you there. Also, March 9th and 10th in Gainesville, Georgia. Gainesville, Georgia, not Gainesville, Florida. Gainesville, Georgia. The Disaster Preparedness Expo. And a lot of great speakers there as well, too. I'll be there speaking at that one. Scott Hunt from Practical Preppers will be there. And there's a good lineup there. Right off the top of my head, I don't remember everybody that's going to be there speaking at that one, but you can find that site from survivalandpreparedness.com. Look on the left-hand side of the screen. There is a link for the show there. So make it out to any of these shows, please come forward and let me meet you, let me shake your hands and that, and thank you for listening, watching the videos, reading the forums, whatever. We always enjoy meeting like-minded people, so we enjoy these shows and that as well too. All right, well, just a little quick intro for the folks that may be seeing this or hearing this for them on YouTube. We've been doing a podcast for a year and a half, 2 years now, something like that. More or less as a more of a private type feature on the forums and that. I mean, they're available to anybody, but a couple hundred people at a time view them on the forums, and that's pretty much it. We haven't tried to really push them publicly or any sort of thing like that. Did a shortwave radio show in the late 90s called the Survival Report. So that was kind of a takeoff off of that. WWCR, WGTG, some of the big stations got kind of pricey with the airtime in that. Airtime back in the day was, keep in mind this was in the 90s, was running upwards of $200 an hour. So essentially I was paying $200 an hour to give away information to people for free for, that I had sweat, bled, paid for, worked hard for on my own. So I didn't mind doing that, but I did mind over the course of 2 years getting $15,000 in debt to do that. So, and that's not a woe is me, blah, blah, blah type of deal. That's just a statement of fact. So, in the latter part of 2000, we had to, with the new baby at home and very short on cash, we had to give up the shortwave radio show and went to more teaching on the forums and private classes and various things like that. So, I'm normally post on the internet, various internet forums. I wouldn't say on every one of them, but under the title of Lowdown 3, LOWDOWN 3, and then as always, we've had the YouTube channel for the last 4 or 5 years. We've also posted some videos with our friends at buildanark.net, the Frugal Squirrels group. Also with Paw Productions, they're on their channel on YouTube. If you go to bucketpacking.com, that was the original how to store food for long-term video on YouTube, as far as somebody showing actual professional packing methods and all that good stuff. Did that years and years ago. It's, of course, since been copied, picked apart, yada, yada, yada. It is what it is. Like I said, it's a problem sometime with YouTube. You get the 12-year-olds that they get on mommy's computer and they want to cuss and act like a fool and everything else. So, anywho, long story short, that's how we came about to being here. If you want to listen to any of the older podcasts, just go to SurvivalReportPodcast.com, and a lot of the older podcasts are still up there. You'll just have to click on the file and open it up and listen to it with an audio player or something on your computer. All right. So, as always, we wanted to thank the folks supporting the show, specifically the North Georgia Coal Mullen Society, the North Georgia Coal Mullen Society, COLMOLLIIN, Coal Mullen Society, and a recent addition, the Central Florida Coal Mullen Society, the Central Florida Coal Mullen Society, and as always, our sponsor at JRHenterprises.com. Again, JRHenterprises.com, and JRH will be exhibiting at both of those shows mentioned, Gastonia, North Carolina on March the 2nd, and Gainesville, Georgia, March the 9th and 10th. Also, we have coming up April 7th in Orlando, Florida. JRH started hosting survival medicine classes back in 1993. Yes, 20 years ago. Not a Johnny-come-lately. We've been doing that for 20 years. And we've had many requests here in the last 6 months to restart that entire series. We've done a little here and there, tactical medicine, tactical lifesaver classes, things like that, before those got popular with all the Cool Daddy shooting schools. We were offering them way back in the day as well. But basically, survivalmedicine.com is where you're going to find all the info on that, survivalmedicine.com, and look under the April 7th Survival Medicine 1 class in Orlando, Florida. And if you register before March 1st, you can save $50 as well too. So again, Survival Medicine class, April 7th, 2013 in Orlando, Florida at survivalmedicine.com. Well, we've had a lot of folks email questions. Of course, we always encourage folks to do that and that as well too. And one of the discussions that came up on the forums here recently was about drones. You hear, drones, and send in the drones. All over the news and everything right now. One thing to think about in relation to this is they're going to be used, guys. They're going to be used in the country. They already are. Will they be used in a killing capacity? Probably at some point in time. At this point, we can't put much past the current regime that's in power. As I've stated before, they are making the same mistakes that the Clintons did in the 90s. While Clinton was focused on murdering children down in Texas and things like that. The Hajis and the Muslims and everything are pretty much our true enemy. There was bombing USS Cole and the embassies and all that good stuff, and the first attempt at the Trade Center. And all that good stuff. But they were focused on, we got to take guns away from law-abiding citizens because that's the smart thing to do, blah, 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 blah. It's like they just don't think, okay? So the Obama regime is doing the same exact mistakes that the Clintons did in the 90s. I feel that way anyway. And we're seeing the same thing almost in similar patterns. While there is, our embassy being destroyed in Libya. There's no focus on. They're not focused on that. They're focused on, gun control and healthcare and all this stupid stuff here at home. So I think we're in for even bigger attacks in that regard because the Muslims and all this good stuff. They're seeing us as weak and they're going to pounce. So. Drones, we're going to see more of their use in the United States. I think that's a given. I think they're slowly cozying people up to the idea of that. This thing with Chris Dormer or whatever, the black cop from L.A. that went on a rant about all sorts of thing on 20-page manifesto, they call it, on Facebook. I think what you're going to find is that they're going to use drones, or they're going to bring the issue of using drones to the forefront with this guy. You're already starting to hear about it a little bit now. And, or it'll be somebody else initially that it'll be, we did this to not endanger other people, because you're already hearing that, Dormer or whatever is well trained and, he's hiding in the woods and he's got all these guns and, it's like, okay, that's some key phrases there. They seem to throw around, somebody with a lot of guns that lives in the woods, is well trained. It's probably half the damn people listening to the show could fall under that category. So this is something, whenever we see these trends like that, it's not about being a, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. See, I can't even say it. It's seeing trends as things go on. That's not being conspiratorial. That's, being smart, because things tend to follow trends, and we're seeing that right now. The important thing is recognizing it for, of course, what it is, and not just going, Pollyanna, everything's just great. No, the government would never harm us. Yeah, right. Why would they want to take away our guns then? So one of the things to think about from just a surveillance type standpoint in relation to drones and that is, if you haven't done this already, get on Google Earth, or I use a site that is actually, I believe they sell like rainwater catchment things or something like that, but they have a really nice Google Earth type setup where you can view your property and the area around there and all that good stuff. If you haven't already done that, survey your area, survey your retreat, survey your house if you're in the suburbs or something like that. really well, and even your bug out location if you have a planned bug out location. With the Google Earth already. Try the different magnifications of it, the lesser power, the greater power, all that good stuff. See what can be seen. We have a lot of pine trees in our area, a lot of large pine trees, and you would be surprised if you were boots on the ground at my place and then looked at that same image from Google Earth or whatnot. You would be surprised to see what you cannot see because of the pine tree cover. And of course, what's nice about pine trees? Well, they're green year-round. So, that's something to consider there as well, too. Tarps have been another thing that folks have talked about, stretching tarps over areas to kind of obscure visual views, things like that. Not a bad idea if you got nothing else, but keep in mind that's a flag as well, too. What are they trying to hide, sort of thing. My advice to you would be if you have any... let's state this right so it doesn't break too much OPSEC. If you have any digging projects, if you have any burying projects, especially of a larger size, that you do those pretty soon. All right, it's great to think that every you read into this what you want or should read into this. We're not talking specifically just about a small cache tube. We're talking about larger things buried as well. But keep in mind that even just carrying the dirt away, or cutting the sod and placing the sod back on there and everything, like you read in all the little books and all the little articles about caching. Again, remember we just were talking about caching and how all these crazy ideas from folks that have never actually cached anything or actually went and retrieved or pulled a cache. If they had, they wouldn't write half the crap they've written. But anyway, just keep in mind that the more and more you see these drones used in that, the less and less you're going to want to have, shall we say, fresh projects out. All right, so it's a good time if you've been deliberating about doing any sort of midnight gardening, or maybe getting that bunker in the ground, or whatever. It's a good time to do it now before the use of those get a little bit more more widespread. As far as countermeasures, well, keep in mind they'll have good quality thermal. They'll have good quality night vision. Some of them may be armed, that sort of thing as well too. Not a boatload of things we can do about it in that regard. And if folks have any ideas along those lines, please feel free to post them either on the forums or on the comments on the videos, something like that. As it's a good subject, we all need to talk about a good bit. But basically, I think the biggest thing with that is just being cognizant of how things appear at your retreat. Very few of us, especially if you're a flatlander like we pretty much are, we don't take into consideration the look down type view when we lay out some of the security and the camouflage aspects and everything of our retreat. Folks out west and things like that, maybe you're building in a valley and bada bing, there's, mountaintops or big hills all around you. You should take that a little bit more into consideration. But it's very easy for us down here, if you're, down in the swamps or whatnot, to not really consider, because you go, well, everything's flat around me and I can see, 100, 200 yards off through the woods and that's it. But there's always that third dimension, and that is, of course, like satellite and also then drone use and things like that. So if you can see it on Google Earth on a good magnification, chances are pretty good. And again, we're just talking about standard stuff. We're not talking about these new little tiny helicopter ones that are, the size of your hand and all this good sort of thing. I'm kind of taking for granted here that people are smart enough not to become, too much of, the nail that sticks up that needs to get hammered down and all that good stuff. There's countermeasures for everything, guys. A big part of this sort of thing is psychological, is psyops. And if we're always kind of in the mindset of, it's hopeless, it is useless to resist, type of thing, we really need to kind of purge that from our thinking. It needs to be more of, how are we going to defeat this? Not it can't be defeated, because that's not a good thing. Just like in the talks and that I give at seminars and prepper conferences and all that good stuff. This is why it's important to learn to think for yourself. Is there's usually creative answers to stuff. It might not just be a by the book answer to things. But so often now we're wanted to be handed the information we need, and we want somebody else to think for ourselves. Give me a list of things to buy, and that's all I need to do. Type of nonsense that you see so often in people. That's what we need to get rid of, because this is outside the box type of thinking, fighting some of these sorts of things or avoiding detection from certain things like this. And if you haven't learned to think creatively, it's gonna be a rough road to hoe when these sorts of things come down. So again, look forward to your ideas on that sort of thing as well. Some of the stuff about it we're going to have on the forums and that. Some of the stuff we're going to keep a little on the private end there, because you don't want to throw too much stuff out there that potentially the bad guys can use against you or whatever. So again, always open for ideas as far as that goes. Guys, a big part of the things like this is just, like I said, is just psyops. It's just understanding that, be it showing you things on TV that it's useless to resist type of stuff, or or things along those lines. It's just kind of it's just trying to soak it into your mind that there's nothing you can do. There's always something you can do. And just like we talk about regularly, you have to get in the habit of taking action. All right, now I'm not suggesting that, you start Civil War II right now or any sort of thing like that. It's definitely not the time. And again, we never talk about things like that on here for the most part. But the core skills and the core things that you have to know and do and all that sort of thing, and how to act, we do talk about on here. So again, if this is showing up on YouTube, don't want folks thinking this is all we talk about or that sort of thing. The bulk of it is survival concepts and all that good stuff. And these are survival concepts. We should seek every way possible to conceal things about us. If we're on Facebook, or if we're on, using a lot of social media or something like that, that's just common sense stuff, guys. People can pick up bits and pieces of things about you there, of, the little Christmas tree approach. Who's he talking to? Okay, connect this one to this one. Who's this guy talking to? What is this guy into? Well, this guy's into, some bad stuff. Okay, now you're guilty by association. So you have to be really careful who you associate with. You have to be really careful what you put out there. A good movie to watch, I've said this before, is if you're interested in how some of these things get put together, is the movie just simply called Gotti, about John Gotti, and it shows some of the surveillance techniques and some of the things that went into basically the feds taking down Gotti, and how they've really kind of hindered a lot of the mafia, of the Italian mafia, and that. And they would get a guy in there, and the guy would either be just the quiet informant, or what I saw a lot in the 90s and that in the preparedness movement was always the guy that came with the crazy ideas, and oh man, I could show you how to work that gun a little faster, if you know what I mean, ha ha ha. Don't be a Dunsky. Stay away from people like that. Be very vocal about it. Man, I don't want anything to do with that. No, thank you. Get the hell away from me. And to be, it sounds rude, but you gotta use those kind of terms, man, because you really don't want to have anything to do with that sort of thing, or even the appearance, that you do. The guys that run on and on about, oh man, I think we just need to get this here started, and we just need to start doing this, and we just need. Whoa, Turbo, calm down. Stay away from me. It's not that time yet. I think you're a little nutty. You might lose a friend, a quote unquote friend over it, but realistically, guys, your friends, if they're preparing with you, stuff like that, they should know better than to say those sort of things in mixed company. That's the kind of stuff you talk about with a couple of trusted friends, things like that. And some of the stuff, even then, you shouldn't talk about. You shouldn't mess around or talk about explosives or full auto firearms or any sort of thing like that. It's just common sense. That's the easiest way to get pinched, guys. Look at how they're busting these wannabe jihadis. All right, what is happening? You look at all the last dozen or so cases you've heard about. They develop, an agent or an informant develops some stupid young kid who's trying to impress other Muslims or whatever around him. And they give him, what do they give him? They give him fake explosives, and it's like, okay, we'll drive you to the, to the Jewish temple or whatever, and they set the dude out there, and he's like, putting, fake debt cap into a stick of dynamite or whatever, and the feds are like, ha ha, we got you, You can't be stupid like that, guys. We don't need a lot of that coming out now. We need to be smarter than that. And you have to understand that a lot of guys out there that would advocate some of these stupid things like I just talked about, or making your weapon full auto if it wasn't already, and you didn't pay the tax stamp and it isn't legal and all that stuff, or let's just start shooting the buggers and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's people that are well-meaning, just naive. But 99% of the time, I feel it's people trying to instigate a response out of you. And either way, you need to avoid it. And guys, if you're, dumb enough to say that sort of thing to your friends, you need to make damn sure they are truly, truly your friends, like, wouldn't roll on you, type of friends. And there's very few of those really out there, no matter what you might, no matter what you might think. Just ask John Gotti about Sammy the Bull Gravano, okay? So anyway, make a study, if you're interested in this sort of thing, make a study of how the feds took down a lot of the big mafia guys, took down guys like John Gotti. What mistakes did they make? What were they doing that kind of screwed them up? Was Gotti playing a little too high profile? Yeah, it probably was. Did they instigate various things from him? Yeah, they probably did. That sort of thing. So again, we have to look at modern examples of how these surveillance systems and things like that, whether it's human surveillance or whether it's later drone surveillance and things like that, and how can we counteract them? How can we defeat them? How can we be better than them? And again, above all, be smart. Think about what you say and do out there right now, guys. It isn't time to go super crazy paranoid, never peek out of the closet type of thing, but you damn sure should be using a little bit of common sense when you're interacting with folks, and that as well too. So, we are about out of time. Thanks for listening, guys, and we shall see you again later. Again, SurvivalReport.net, new videos up there on the YouTube site with all the videos and that. Be sure to subscribe, and thanks for listening.